doing? W.N.B.A. All-Star Game just concluding. Skylar Diggins giving her takes. Skylar's talking it up. All right. A lot of points scored. Good amount of highlights. For W.N.B.A. All-Star. Got UFC action going on. Hope everybody's Saturday has gone well. Let's get ourselves lined up here. Across the board. YouTube is good. W.N.B.A. commissioner getting ready to hand over the MVP trophy. See some familiar faces. The pride of Boston, Aaliyah Boston. Brianna Stewart, Team Collier. With the victory. As we await the MVP honors. But hope everybody out there is doing okay. Saturday, summertime. We got all-star games going on. Major League Baseball. W.N.B.A. And it looks like Collier is the MVP for Team Collier. Collier getting the MVP for Team Collier. She balled out in the finals last year against the New York Liberty. Game went in overtime. She's tough. Tough player. Okay. Appreciate. We got Fresh Catch's Finest checking in on the IG. Taking some time for the Wu-Tang. You know what I mean? It's summertime on the Cape. So our business owners and you know, did the different restaurants, shops, cafes, so on and forth. They're going real hard right now. But at the same time, you know, us local folk have to take in the summer. We have to enjoy some of it for ourselves. So appreciate Fresh Catch folks. Forget the slogan. They're at the Wu-Tang concert. But I remember it now. You know what I mean? Wu-Tang said, you know, I'm born atomically. the Socrates philosophies and hypotheses. They can't describe how I'll be mocking these. Can't describe how I'll be rocking these mockeries. Lyrically, but you know what I'm talking about, folks. But the good people at Fresh Catch, go ahead, shout out to Fresh Catch on Main Street. If you're in Barnstable, if you're in Hyannis, most definitely got to go check out the Fresh Catch. You got to get that lobster mac and cheese. You must do it. Okay, the karaoke night is also off the chains. I myself get up and do a thing or two. But the slogan is catch rules everything around me. That cream right there. That catch rule everything around me. At Fresh Catch on Main Street. So I certainly appreciate the check-in on the IG. As we said, W.N.B.A. All-Star Game. Our women, our ladies, our hoopers out there shining bright. Okay, I see Paige Buckets in the background. Kelsey Plum, Angel. Okay, they got the sign up, pay the players. A constant theme that yes, pay the players. At the same time, we need to see the show. We need to see the show. So that's going to be a storyline. We're going to talk about it. Because yes, I want the players to get paid. I want them to have their market value, but I also need to see the show. And a very important player was missing from tonight's game. Caitlin Clark, Team Clark, missing from tonight's game. Hey, I understand injuries. There was a groin injury. I understand that. And you don't want to play hurt. You don't want to overextend. But, just coming out and you can't play injured. I get, you go back to the Utah Jazz, right? Karl Malone, Utah Jazz. There's a difference between being hurt and being injured. Appreciate you, Benito. Malin Militia, Malapalooza coming up tomorrow. Malapalooza is on the horizon. Big Ben Willis is going to be ready. He's going to be ready. Went for a good long walk today. Got out around dusk and we kept it moving. So Willis is, he got his, had his bone, so he's getting down right now. So tomorrow's walk, it depends on what it is. So we might have to postpone tomorrow's walk just because we want to be ready for the Malapalooza. And then go for the walk after, or maybe even before. Tomorrow, probably not before. Supposed to get some rain coming in. I hope it, push that rain back to the nighttime so it can be sunny, dry, so our tourists can get out and enjoy themselves and we can have the, a good old time. But we'll navigate that. But I appreciate Benito on the Twitter check-in, X Twitter. It is what it is. But the game up and down, a lot of points being scored, Collier balling out. So it was a great game. But a leading star was missing, and that makes a notable difference. Okay? It makes a notable difference. I understand the injury, whether you're hurt, whether you're injured, you don't want to push yourself. I get all of that. But when I'm seeing pay the players immediately and you don't have the headlining player for your league in the All-Star game because of a tissue injury, that's tough. That's tough. Now, again, ACL, Achilles, we have to be very careful. All I'm saying is there's no two ways about it. A huge opportunity was missed. Okay? Never mind the woulda, coulda, shoulda. Every athlete knows their body, knows their limitations, knows what they can do. Okay, on this conversation, since we're having a conversation about injuries, there's a man by the name of Ronnie Lott. And I'm not making a one-to-one comparison at all here. But let's get Ronnie Lott up on the screen for the people as we're having a conversation about what it means to be hurt, what it means to be injured. That's the conversation right now. Relative to the W.N.B.A. All-Star Game, we're talking about players getting their money, and nobody wants the W.N.B.A. players to get more market share than yours truly, who was tuned in 97 for the inaugural season. Shout out to Cynthia Cooper. Shout out to Tina Thompson. Shout out to the Houston Comets and the original first W.N.B.A. champions, okay? If we're having a conversation about who supports the women's game. Caitlin Clark was in Beantown. Who showed up to show love? That's right. Boston's finest, a one Mr. Jaylen Brown, was in the building to show love for the W.N.B.A. But when you're talking about paying the players, the initial rejoinder is you got to give the people a show. You got to give the people a show if you want to get paid. All right? And that is a storyline. It's a narrative. It's not the predominant narrative. We had 24 other outstanding, deserving WNBA ball players that went out and put on a great show. All right. But when the most notable player in your league is not out there, okay, your league's taking a hit, period. So, as I said, every player knows their situation and what they can or cannot do. Okay? This Ronnie Lott is the most extreme example. Had an injury to his hand, said he was going to miss the season, had serious surgery, body part was cut down, hurt his hand. He said, hey, you got to take this part of my hand, this has to go, take it off. I'm ready for the season. I need to be out there to win these championships. Again, this is not a one-to-one comparison saying everybody needs to do this. So let's be clear on this point. But this and other examples, Willis Reed coming out for the Knicks, I think that would be the more comparable example. For the Game 7, scored the first 2 buckets to turn the tide, only had 4 points for the game. Knicks won that game going away. All right? So we got Ronnie on the screen, but relative to the WNBA and Caitlin Clark not being out there with a groin injury, that's a hit. It hurts. As I said, Michael Jordan wanted to ban his shoe. We got Summer League action. We'll move it over to the UFC is live. Always think of my good dear friend D-Tomp anytime UFC is going on. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of combat sports, have a tremendous amount of respect for it. I most certainly do. I got respect for combat sports. That's right. It's not, it's not necessarily my go-to. I'll watch it. I'll check the highlights. I prefer boxing, honestly. So we'll check in on the Summer League. And then, you know what I mean? We'll discuss some moves in the W.N.B.A. Okay. We got Ronnie Lott up there. Speaking of Willis, or Willis's, yes, indeed. Let's get Willis on the screen. Willis Reed, Game 7 comeback. The Lakers could not catch a break. Again, when we're talking about the all-time conversation. And the greatest of all time. Certainly winning plays a notable factor in that. Okay, and we see Willis down here, and Wilt right? This was a championship the Lakers woulda, coulda, shoulda, didn't get, right? If Wilt has 4 championships, 5 championships versus only the 2, he left some championships out there. They lost the year before to the Celtics. Bill Russell in his swan song, final season, player coach. So that's back-to-back championships could have had for the Lakers and Wilt and Jerry West. Didn't get it. Didn't get them. And hey, Wilt Chamberlain, his book, nobody roots for Goliath. It's true. People don't appreciate that because there's so few Goliaths out there. The pressure, the stress, the strain. But it's, again, one of those, everyone has their Achilles heel. And those high leverage pressure moments were, for all of Willis's supreme athletic ability, those high leverage pressure moments were his Achilles heel. All right, but we're talking about playing through pain, playing through injuries. And yes, this is not taking away anything from the W.N.B.A. All-Star Game, which was tremendous. But if a leading talking point, as we just saw with the pay the players sign, is revenue sharing and player compensation with the C.B.A. coming up. First off, let me just note, W.N.B.A. has restructured their collective bargaining agreement to allow for max contracts up to $500,000, which resembles the leading salaries in Europe, where professional women's basketball players make the lion's share of their money in Europe in the winter. So in recent years, the W.N.B.A. contract has evolved to match some of these salaries. Not going to say the top salaries, the tippity top. Okay. But the leading salaries, W.N.B.A., C.B.A. matches those numbers. Also, we talk about chartered flights for W.N.B.A. teams, and this being available across the board, which has been a tug of war within the league. Some teams, wanted to do it out of their own resources. Other teams were less willing to do it. So this is equity issue. W.N.B.A., saying that needs to be the same across the board, which I understand. Right? If one team has chartered flights, other teams don't, that team's going to be a preferred destination. Every league is concerned about parity and each team having hope, if not for the near future. Okay, building up into a contender, the Utes. NBA Summer League, we got the Suns and Portland. Portland, a team led by young players. Is Donovan Clingan out there? That looks like. No, I don't know. I don't think that's him. No, they're resting Clinging for the summer league, as he is due, for a big season with Ayton moving on to the Lakers. W.N.B.A. Okay? Need the stars out front. We need them balling out. We need the league to stay on message. Get past the bickering amongst yourself. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, there's a rivalry. Wonderful. Keep it to the court. I want to hear about Angel Reese getting a double-double. 24 and 12. I want to hear about Caitlin Clark edging up close to a triple-double. 27, 11, and 10. That's the conversation the W.N.B.A. needs to be having, rather than allowing themselves to get dragged down into the cultural war. With these two quote-unquote camps just lobbing hateration back and forth at each other. Not only is it nonsensical, it's affecting the bottom line if the conversation is going to be about paying the players. I need my Facebook feed, my IG feed flooded with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and Collier and Beckers and Stewart, Wilson, Plum. I need highlights. I need artistry. I need athletes to be artists. To spur engagement and interest so that you can get your contract. Appreciate Buster checking in on the IG. A couple folks on Twitter. Mi casa es su casa, folks. All right? Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you have commentary, we'll get that we'll get that up on the screen. All right? So, look, second half of the season, W.N.B.A., get it done. Go out there and hoop. Okay, we talk about, we got the young lion, 17-year-old in France. The France development program is taking over. 17-year-old in France out there dunking like it's nothing. Okay, we got Juju Wilson coming up through the ranks. She's going to be ready to shine. Getting her NIL money right now. Right? Juju getting that NIL money more and more. There's been talk about the federal government weighing in on NIL, which is interesting. Not that it would, Congress would have to pass something, but there's been talk about an executive order relative to NIL. Just talk now. Of course, the rejoiner is, was there an executive order when Texas A&M paid Jimbo Fisher $75 million over 10 years to pry him away from Florida State? Was there an executive order when Jimbo Fisher's Christmas tree? By the way, shout out to the warm weather states and how they celebrate the holidays. Anybody ever been to a warm weather state during the holidays? They go hard. I didn't appreciate this coming from the Northeast where it's always brick cold. But I happen to be out in AZ during the holiday season. Man, these lights, and decorations in the desert land were tremendous. It's absolutely out of this world. What's his connection to NIL? Jimbo Fisher down there in the Delta lands, in the swamp lands, in Tallahassee. They said when Texas A&M offered him that bag, that $75 million over 10 years, that Christmas tree was out on the street faster than you know it. They said the neighbor said, I thought you ain't gonna get, no, that Christmas tree was on the sidewalk. Jimbo was like, deuces. Jimbo was in his Pulp Fiction. He said, Jimbo was out when Texas A&M came through with that bag. Now, things didn't go according to plan. You know, Texas A&M, Texas Tech. Okay, how football is viewed south of the Mason-Dixon line. Folks, Texas A&M saying things are working out the way that they need to. Jimbo, take your money. You got to go. We'll bring in the next man. You got to go, Jimbo. So, all of the talk, the conjecture, the debate, which is wonderful, surrounding NIL, I'm here for it. But the federal government wasn't weighing in when those types of things happen and continue to happen. When football coaches are the highest paid employees in a state by far. Nobody's weighing, no, that's fine. And of course it's fine because we're talking about a multi-billion-dollar industry. And each component of said industry is simply getting their market value. When coaches who are chefs were getting their market value, nobody had a problem with it. Now that the players who are the ingredients to make the delicious meal, you can be the best chef in the world. If you're dealing with fast food ingredients, you're getting a fast food product. Nothing against fast food. Okay, I'll bust down a spicy chicken sandwich. As a matter of fact, my buddy in the cut wouldn't get that. We had to get that. He got the Asiago, that Asiago spicy chicken. Wendy's is coming up. Woo! Shout out to Wendy's. Shout out to Dave and the Frosties. I got to say, folks, I did a couple push-ups today. Not as many as I needed to, but I did a couple. Okay, because I don't, I'm still eating like it's early 2000s. I haven't. People talk about you got to eat clean, and they're right. They are right, but foodie pebbles forever. Y'all right. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying cinnamon toast crunch is delicious. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so we have to agree to disagree on that. But, not as young as we used to, so the metabolism has to do what it does and got to hydrate and all the rest of that stuff. Point taken. But I was glad I got a couple push-ups in. I got to do way more based on because I used to be able to just I get down. Okay. But the metabolism and being hyperactive and always being out and about, it would be burning off, but don't do as much as I used to. Need to do more. And so catching up a little bit. Okay. But yes, NIL players, get your money. I got no problem with it, no issue with it. I credit Charlie Baker with his leadership of the NCAA, looking at now saying we're going to pay players and some of the numeric breakdown of who gets paid what. I'm 100% in favor of. I think it's wonderful because you're paid based on what your sport brings in. Nobody is shorting nobody. Nobody is edging, elbowing anybody out. This is what your sport brings in. This is your portion of the pie. The sport brings in more, you get more, bottom line, end of story. Okay, I want to talk about free markets and market value. There you go. So colleges are doing this, and to, bring more structure. And in doing that, it's not even as much, even though it's long overdue, because you're multi-billion-dollar players and everybody's getting paid. And okay, so you're going to pay players, all right, and then you get that in order. Then you get the NIL. Just organize it. What are the numbers? Players should be able to make what their market value is. Do you want to put a cap on it? That needs to be collectively bargained. Do you want to not have a cap, which is the way a baseball does it? Whatever. It's all relative to what the sport is bringing in and then what the player's percentage is of that. That's all you're talking about, except for, since time immemorial, decades upon decades, you're talking about multi-billion-dollar industry and a driving force of said industry, if not the driving force. You wanted them to be thousandaires. If you're talking about a state school, this is $10,000, $15,000 when the sport brings in billions. Okay, and coaches, win one for I want you to, apply yourself and pull yourself up, and coaches giving these great speeches, because they're about developing the youth, right? Yeah, develop the youth. So why are you making more than the governor if it's all about developing the youth with a guaranteed contract? If and even when you get fired, you still get all your money. The players, when they get hurt, do they still get the scholarship? Maybe, but we don't know. Okay, so what's happening in college sports is simply a long overdue correction of the market to bring folks in, to bring each component into balance. And there's more work being done, and I applaud that work, within which, and Coach Cal talked about it, transfer portal, you get one transfer without sitting. One. That's it. One. After that, you got to sit a year. That's what I would be in favor of. They can transfer that first time. Okay, you don't have to sit. That's fine. Because what was happening is, that's another, like we talked about the W.N.B.A. and chartered flights. Speaking of the W, let's talk about the talent that's coming up through the ranks. Let's get that for the people on the screen. Watch this before we can watch this again and again. When you talk about support for the women's game, stop that.
They clear the runway. Oh, a two-handed throwdown. Alicia Tornaby's putting some sauce on this game.
Okay.
What a play.
Let's let those play. But at the same time, you see what we're doing right now? They're out there hooping. They're out there balling and shining. People, okay, who's that? That looks like the number one pick. I need a jersey. Can I get a jersey?
Some sauce on this game.
I want to learn more about this player. Are they going to school? Are they going to go to South Carolina? She's going to UConn?
That's what the fans have.
Right?
Tornby steals it away. Clear the runway. Oh, a two-handed throwdown.
But we can see this player.
Putting some sauce on this game.
We can see them shining bright.
What a
when
play.
The best players aren't out there shining bright, how do you have engagement?
That's what the fans have. Tornby steals it away. Clear the runway. Oh, a two-handed throwdown. Alicia Tornaby's putting some sauce on this game.
Twofold proposition. As Detective Alonzo Harris made it clear. Ain't nothing free in this world.
That's what we've been waiting for. That's what the fans have.
Taxes.
Tornaby steals it away. Clear the runway. Oh, a two-handed throwdown. Alicia Tornaby's putting some sauce on this game.
Broke free. She said, oh, no.
What a
play. Slammer jammer.
That's what we've been waiting for. That's what the fans have. Tornaby steals it away. Clear the runway.
W.N.B.A., take heed, please. Take heed. Okay? As you're advocating for a bigger piece of the pie. College players, same thing. They're advocating. They're getting their just due. Wonderful. Love to see it. The entire sport didn't collapse because players all of a sudden got some of their fair share. Now, college you need to rein in, and not rein in. You need to, that's going to rein in. We got to rein the players in because it's just going crazy. Meanwhile, some of the coaches, just fall back, please. Fall back. Coaches walking around these college campuses like Julius Caesar, talking about rein in the players. Got better parking than the president. walk around these campuses like Prince Akeem with the rolling with people, rose petals in front of your feet. Now, next thing you know, your power is, and you want to talk about it being an inequitable. How about all these high-powered coaches? How about you take some of that power and give back to the university and the kids that you're allegedly coaching, serving, whatever the case may be? Plaxico Burress tells this story. He was a number 1 ranked junior and thinking about going to the NFL. They're talking about, well, I think you need to come back, and be loyal to the program and help the university and honor your commitment. That coach got another job. Plaxico said, I ain't see him again. Same coach that told me, loyalty, and you got to just do it for the institution and just think about the kids that look up to you. Gave him the whole night. I mean, they put that gravy on, like you were talking about some mashed potatoes. That good old down south, when they put the gravy on the mashed potatoes, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, that good soul food. Yes. That's how they was pouring it on. Plaxico, you got to just pour it on thick. See what I'm saying? What is this? My paper towels. It's always one thing. I didn't notice. My shot was all kind of messed up. I don't go there. I got my, you know what I mean? Hands get, you know what I mean? Dry my hands off good. That's why I keep all my hair and my beard oils over here. Talking for like 20, 30 minutes. We had an issue on the shop. You learn something every program, every production. All right. We got that. But hey, shout out to Manny's Texas Grill and Wiener. Shout out to Manny's. Want to give them in Union, New Jersey, proud customer of Manny's Texas Grill and Wiener. Would always go there when I was in college, when I went back to visit, my grandfather. Anytime I'm in Jersey, I got to go to Manny's. Got to go to Manny's Texas Grill and Wiener. Great people. It would be wonderful. Shout out again. Another shout out for Manny's Texas Grill and Wiener, Pride of New Jersey, Union, New Jersey. I would get up early and drive down and have breakfast with my grandfather. Go to Manny's and get back in my car around. So I'd be there around, I'd leave early. So I would leave around 6, get up, get on the road, get there around 7, go to breakfast till 8-ish, get back and be to school by 9. For class, we had chapel Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So class or had to be back for one or the other. But beautiful, beautiful times. Think about it often, provides a lot of motivation still. But Manny's Texas Grill and Wiener. So once I go ahead and I get the shot right and give a shout out to a great restaurant and community. It's like a hub, right? It's just an important place in the community, Manny's. Right? Because New Jersey is a civilized state. In Jersey, you got diners, right? You got diners in Jersey. That's up, the Cape. I know it's the Cape, and they got it. So, once we cross the bridge and we get into civilization, some of these diners, open late, especially in the summer. 1, 2, you go in, you get some grits, some bacon and eggs. Night out, get a bite to eat before heading home. It's good. Manny's was just a breakfast place. Manny's wasn't a quote unquote diner. Whereas you had some of these diners, which was interesting. They just serve, they're open late. And you got people just go in. People are up. Clearly, people are up because I'm up doing this pod. So it's good stuff. All right. So let's shift gears from the W.N.B.A. over to the NBA as power moves are being made, and some power moves are still lurking to be made. Let's take a look here. Okay. All right. So let's get it for you on the screen. Mr. Marcus Smart. Taking his talents west. Second time, folks, that there were rumblings about a Celtics reunion that did not come to fruition. Rumblings. It's not a great picture. Let me see. Get this picture. Better. See about this one. No, none of it. No, the other one was better. There we go. Yeah. That Lakers bench mob. That Lake Show bench mob. Right? The exact type of a player needed for Luka Doncic's roster. Exact type of a player. Somebody to do the dirty work. Marcus Smart likes to shoot the three. Can hit the three. Marcus, go ahead and spot up in the corner. All right? Because it's not going to be the Celtics offense. We don't need you to pound the rock. We need you to spot up and rain down. That's what we need you to do. And Marcus Smart likes to do that. He wants to get his shots up. And so a 3-and-D player, it's not realistic or prudent to expect Luka Doncic to be a defensive workhorse. Common sense will tell you, Luka, compete on defense. Give effort. Okay? But you don't need to be a stopper. You've come in this league, you've been successful in this league as a serviceable defender rather than a lockdown defender. It is within the realm of possibility for him to make leaps and bounds of growth, as Jason Tatum has over the course of his career. But it's not imperative for Luka Doncic to become a lockdown defender. The urgency is to create a roster with lockdown defenders around him, which Rob Pelinka has done. Okay? So add this to the continual incessant conversation surrounding the Lakers, which benefits everyone in the organization. They seem to recognize that. Are all the storylines probable or even practical? I don't think so. I.e. LeBron leaving. Doesn't make dollars or cents. But this roster is being built effectively. When you look at the versatility therein, you have two supernovas in Luka and LeBron. Okay? One in his 40s, the other offensive-minded. The Lakers need people committed to doing the dirty work, the little things, the Tommy points, to put your two superstars in position to be successful. All right, and so this is a power move in that when the Lakers now are going toe-to-toe with the best of the West, the Thunder, Rockets, and Nuggets, You have personnel, Vanderbilt, Marcus Smart, right? You got some defensive ends to go out there and get the quarterback, so to speak. You got some guys that can and will make things difficult for the best players on the other teams, the Jokic, the SGAs, the Durants, the Sangoons, the Jalen Williams, the Jamal Murrays, so on and forth. Right? Creating a situation where now Luka can just go out and cook and be Luka. We don't have to worry about LeBron James, how much time he spends walking, or what his defensive efficiency rating is. Okay? Two players who, by the way, are able to score in a variety of ways, not the least of which is backing people down and just dropping the ball in the basket. Which I know is cringeworthy, unfortunately, for some out there in this world of pace and space, run around, shoot a bunch of threes, and get layups. This utopic fantasy land of basketball that doesn't win, particularly in the playoffs. Maybe in the regular season, you want to talk about 7 seconds or less. Great. But the game is going to slow down, and the team's going to have to score in various ways. Mr. Boston, not Mr. Right? Which the Celtics had nothing to do with their personnel, had to do with their strategy and approach. That's how the Knicks came back. My New York Knicks. Hey, it was what it was. It was a hurtful series. It's going to be hurtful either way because the Celtics did not score in a variety of ways. It was 3 or Cancun. Rather than posting up JB, posting up JT, posting up Drew Holiday, and slowing down some of these runs. So now, Marcus Smart, are the Lakers pound for pound better than the big three in the West? No. But as we learned from the Denver-Oklahoma City series, folks, at a certain point, it comes down to Ivan Drago. When we're talking about basketball, different than football, okay? Basketball, one player can't take over a game. Harder to do in football, ultimate team sport. Gotcha. Relative to basketball, one player going into takeover mode can swing a game and a series. And that's what happened with Nikola Jokic in that second round matchup against the defending champion, Oklahoma City Thunder. Jokic went into takeover mode, went into I must break you mode. Oklahoma City had no answer. Yes, they might have battled back, and they most certainly did, particularly on the road. Game 5, I believe it was. No, 4. Game 5 was in Oklahoma City. Game 4 in Denver. Had to battle back to knot the series at 2, right? Because Denver was threatening to go up 3-1. Huge win, clearly. But the Joker, he just went out there and was not to be trifled with. And so why Marcus Smart is a power move to the Lakers is because they now have the personnel to put LeBron and Luka in position to get into that mode of saying, you know what? Oklahoma City, Houston, Denver, all due respect, you guys may have higher seeds, may be more favored, but Luka gets to a standpoint of saying, I've had enough of you. I'm going into takeover mode. I'm taking over this mode. And now those teams have some folks that can go shot for shot, bucket for bucket, right? They got some folks that can battle. If you're talking about, lyrically, that can get into the cipher and go back and forth. But it's uncertain to me whether they'll be victorious. If you're talking about prime Luka, and if you're talking about a motivated LeBron, who can do it in spurts. Unstoppable offensively. because of how many different ways they can score. Not as big height-wise as Kevin Durant, bigger body-wise. So whereas KD can take people into the high post, short corner, and just shoot over them, LeBron James can just bury them under the basket and just drop it in with their physical strength. Durant, the Slim Reaper, has functional strength. Not necessarily going to be able to back a player all the way under the basket, but can maintain leverage, can defend, can finish through contact, even though he doesn't have great physical, doesn't appear to be exceedingly strong. Lakers have two broad-shouldered phenoms who, at any given time, particularly, young Doncic, but not to exclude grizzled veteran James, can just go into takeover mode. I've had enough. I'm taking over this game. What LeBron did in 07 with Cleveland. Well, that's 18 years ago. Yes. Right. But he didn't have a Luka Doncic with him those 18 years ago. So LeBron might not be able to completely take over a game for long stretches, but in segments, when it matters, particularly looking at what the other gentleman did, now we're talking. So Smart to the Lakers, it's not the same as Giannis finding new digs. Or LeBron having a new home other than City of Angels. But it gives the Lakers roster a potency to become competitive with the best of the rest. Okay, folks, let's go around the world. I appreciate the check-ins on IG. Facebook is going well. A couple people on the X machine, Twitter. YouTube is good. Twitch is good. I'm going to take a look at the British Open, which will be concluding tomorrow. The Open Championship. Scottie Scheffler. American. Number one player in the world. Holding on to a 2-stroke lead. Going into the final round. So first of all, not only am I happy an American is leading the majors, Scottie Scheffler, well-known name. So those two things combined, right? Golf, like other sports, It's about the stars. It's about the stars and, right? Seeing the stars in prime time, seeing them shine when the bright lights are on. And Scotty Scheffler, he is living up to that billing. Are we talking about a Tiger Slam and, comparing him to Tiger Woods? If he keeps winning, sure. But even if he does not obtain the Grand Slam championship, winning all 4 in the same calendar year or consecutively so that they're all in your possession, his play and the consistency with which he is at the top of the leaderboard, right? I'm thrilled to see that in golf. And that is how their stars can break through into the mainstream. Look up. Hey, Scotty Scheffler from Ridgewood, New Jersey. Ridgewood, New Jersey. Played for the Longhorns. Speaking of the Lone Star State. So Scotty is looking to repeat. Hold on. Negatai. This would be his first Open Championship. He's got 2 Masters and a PGA Championship. Currently ranked number 1 in the world. I'm on board. I'm team Scheffler to get the job done tomorrow. It's going to be a battle. 2-stroke lead. One-stroke lead, actually. Excuse me. Got my numbers wrong. Scotty Scheffler is minus 14. Through three rounds with a 4-stroke advantage. Four-stroke advantage with other players within 8 or 9. So there's let's see, the folks that are 8 under, 6 off the trail. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to talk about those within 6 strokes. We got 7 folks. in 6 strokes. 1 in 7. Couple more in 8. So far from out of the woods, but 4 strokes is somewhat comfortable. Can obviously never get too comfortable, particularly on the last round. 2 people, Lee and Fitzpatrick, are within 4 and 5. Then there's a group that are 6 down. Xander Schauffele is 7 down. All right. Let's get that for you on the screen. You go back to the time in golf where it was Tiger against the field. Again, a connecting point to the W.N.B.A. If Tiger's in the lead on Sunday, when he's in his prime, you might as well just book it. Might as well just book it. Because Tiger was getting down for the crown. All right, that is one of the all-time skills of Mr. Woods. At times, can you take greatness for granted? Yes. What I'm saying with Scottie Scheffler is, with him being, quote-unquote, next up after Tiger. Now, other players, Brooks Koepka had a stretch where he was successful. Bill Simmons is excited about the Red Sox coming out of the All-Star break. Okay. For me, trust but verify. It's a team that was supposed to keep Devers, let go of Devers. It's uncertain what the return was going to be and that they've given up too much. But then Devers having the same issues he had in Boston, elsewhere. Validated majority owner John Henry. No, it's a different screen. Okay, what round are they in? It's not the second round, folks. It's Saturday evening. We are most certainly in the 3rd round. Good art with Scottie Scheffler. Looking to bring home another major championship. Folks in the chats, interested to know if you have any other picks? I'm a Brooks Koepka fan. Bryson DeChambeau is a power player. Tiger, clearly. But golf is certainly a game where you are only as good as your last stroke. Point period, end of story. Okay, and the most notable breakdown dash collapse in recent memory was Greg Norman when I was a young warthog. Had it locked up and got the jitters down the stretch. Was not able to bring it home. And so remembering that, I'm always sensitive. When folks are the odds-on favorite. Not that I wish any ill will or negative speculation. As I've said, I'm pulling for Scottie Scheffler. I want an American to win the Open or the British Open, however you want to term it. But just being a sports fan, I'm well aware of the other way it can go 29 years ago. Plus. And how something that seemed a foregone conclusion with a preeminent player golf is a momentum sport. I remember this cover. Used to love Greg Norman's hats coming from Australia. Keeping that sun at bay. Greg Norman was the man. But painful. Speaking of nobody roots for Goliath, one of the things I learned from 30 for 30, the classics, 9.79, looking at Ben Johnson in the 88 Olympics. It's quite good. Check it out. The runners, they said, that's the loneliest time when you're going down, getting into your, getting your setup. That is the loneliest time. And so something, not the critic that counts. No siree. The man in the arena. And so Greg Norman, you could be the most skilled player, have things going, when that arena, it's a whole different environment. It's a whole world unto itself. I was talking with my good buddy Endicott the other day, his brother Tony is home. I got a chance to visit Tony, taking Willis for a stroll because it's beautiful weather. Got rain coming in tomorrow, so hey, like they say, make hay while the sun shines. You got to make hay while the sun shines. That's what they say. It's what I'm trying to do. So plenty of work to do. Just try to keep it. Just keep that 4 count. Got to keep that 4 count. Easier said than done, but that's the goal. I'm trying. I need the energy that Willis has, quote unquote, hyperactive. That's the. I'm trying to find that hyperactive kid. Talked about it last episode. The gentleman for whom Searching for Bobby Fischer was based I didn't realize I just thought it was a good movie, Searching for Bobby Fischer, which it is. But I thought it was more so about the mysterious American chess master, Bobby Fischer. Turns out, no. It was more so about, it's based on a true story like that. They're, just somebody who's an elite. They call him. He's an elite learner. Just has a love and a capacity to learn new things. So I'm talking about being a lifelong learner. That's something, particularly as I get a little bit longer in the tooth, I'm reminded of. Certainly easy to get stuck in your ways. Got to be a lifelong learner. What's the connection back to Greg Norman? That Celtics, after losing Jeff Van Gundy, brought in this individual for whom Searching for Bobby Fischer was based on to be a special consultant, work with Joe Mazzulla. I have no doubt he's doing good work. I also have no doubt that the Celtics are missing Jeff Van Gundy, and they need to beef up their coaching staff, period. Well, none of this stuff is going to work that they're talking about. None of it. Zip shows zero. Okay. And I'm saying that and saying it again and again and again. We want to talk about blaming the players. We want to talk about Drew Holiday being old. Reason Celtics crashed out this year, and again, before the Jason Tatum injury, which is super unfortunate, is that they did not have the brain trust that they had before. I've been on that. I'm saying it again and again and again because there's just no two ways about it. You can cry about the second apron, luxury tax, or whatever you want to do. That was avoidable. If the Celtics wanted to get it out and realized, if I'm Wick and I know, okay, that the second apron is coming and it's going to be certainly punitive, then I sit down with Drew Holiday, who remains essential to championship teams. He's not in the Celtics, but he's an essential component to a championship team. So the Celtics lost. Again, speaking to Greg Norman, we're going to come back to the Masters. The Open, we're going to come back to Scottie Scheffler. But speaking of winning, all right, and that special marinara that makes the restaurant, the elite restaurant, so on and forth. Okay, you need the top ingredients. Drew Holiday represented that. And the Celtics lost him allegedly and purportedly because of the second apron, which I am 10 toes down. If you saw the storm coming on the horizon, you signed Drew to a two-year deal, maybe give him more upfront because you realize his value, as the Celtics were saying at that particular point in time, including Brad Stevens. Well, you just don't think you can get a guy like Drew Holiday. You don't think, and next thing you know, you bounce him out of town talking about he's old. And some of your other core ingredient glue guys, i.e. Al Horford, who Oklahoma City has come up into the mix saying, Al, you played here for that short minute. Okay? Come on back. You want to chase chips? Come on back. Help our front line out. Help Chet, because Chet's going to have to, right? The Slim Reaper defensively, after you put all that money in Chet? No. Chet plays 70 games max. We ain't gonna be stupid. We're not shooting ourselves in the foot. As skinny as he is, we're not gonna. And as much as you want to talk about pace and space, he is rail thin, playing against professional athletes. Now some of them skinnied up but if you playing against, right? Joker sees Chet, that's barbecue chicken with the honey mustard sauce. When the Joker sees Chet, he's guarding me as good a defender as he might be. Then you want to throw in some blue cheese as well. You're going to put Chet on the Joker. He saw that. 1-4 flat. That's what Joker said. They put him on me? Never. I mean, he's a good defender, sure, but he ain't. And you've seen Joker's brothers and Joker himself with them broad shoulders. No. We gone. Right? And was Joker just getting those 42 points? Was he just shooting threes? And we are going to come back to Greg Norman, folks. But was he just shooting threes for those 4? No. It was balanced. You're going to get some from 3. You're going to get some from the high post. You're going to get some from the short corner. You're going to get some from I'm getting you getting it all. You getting all 5 stars. Speaking of which, we will talk about, and we need to talk about, we're going over to speak about the preps because EYBL is off the chains right now. We're going to talk about the preps back half, most certainly in Slice of Life. We'll get some footage, but Stars of Tomorrow, Ja Morant was in the building to see Tynan Stokes, who you will be hearing about quite a bit. Top rising senior. Plays with Jason Crow, Chris, who contributes quite a bit on this pod, talked about. Jason Crow is the number one point guard. Tynan Stokes is the number one player. They got the business from Expressions Elite, double digit L. Shout out to Expressions, Pride of Boston. My basketball community here in the Commonwealth, beautiful thing. So yeah, we're gonna get into the preps and the stars of tomorrow, momentarily. All right. But yes, winning time, being in the arena. Okay, vis-a-vis basketball, you need coaches that can put you in a position and give you the confidence. Celtics were lacking that, continue to lack that. I haven't heard. By the way, I did hear about a Frank Vogel. He's headed to Dallas to get their thing going on right. Frank Vogel headed to Dallas to get their thing running right. Okay, so Jason Kidd says, "Hey, we can use this guy." After he already led a team to the finals, he's talking about we can use this guy. Okay. UFC, what the heck? All right, let me see if we can do this. Apologize. I was low-key cooking. That's up to you out there, whether I was cooking or not. I felt, because anytime I talk about Drew, woo! Don't get me started. Madness. Doggone Celtics giving up Dennis Johnson in the midst of a championship run. Unheard of. Unheard of. Say it again. But I gotta throw this in ESPN .stream. I gotta put this in to see if I can get the -stream. Because again, it's not necessarily, but I respect it. And while I'm talking about respect, Teddy Atlas in the fight. Check it out, folks. Amazon Audible Gold. Go ahead and check out Teddy Atlas in the fight. Talking about, man. My ESPN bill been paid. What we doing here? Gotta log in. Apologize in advance, folks. We live right now. See, now they're gonna make me. This is. But it's a point of pride right now. We're coming back. My man Tyler Collier getting busy. No. Con Canepo out there getting busy. His younger brother is balling at Peach Jam. Con Canepo. Where's Austin Reeves at? We gotta get this for you on the screen. We're gonna get it for you on the screen after this. I can't just be looking at it and then not provided for the people. So Colin Canepo looking really strong. This is a player, again, not highly ranked. We're gonna keep it a buck. Not highly ranked, kept trusting the process. Cooper was the prize. Colin Canepo was just a guy. He came in hungry. He came in ready. He balled out for Duke. I thought he might go back to partner with the Boozer brothers. He said, no. He said that the iron is hot. I'm about to go. He said, we got some J. Will, Carlos Boozer, Mike D'Antoni. Excuse me. We got some J. Will, number 2 overall pick. Mike Dunleavy Jr., number 3 overall pick. Carlos Boozer just down the trough, right? We're gonna strike while the iron is hot and get this draft money. Hulu, ESPN. Yeah, okay. I got the ESPN. But I went through did some accounting, saw some expenditures, so I know the bill is paid. Hold on. Oh, it's Disney. That's funny. Brings me to Disney, which is a little bit crazy. Disney is one thing. Right now we're talking about dead air. What are you trying to do to me here? Might have to jettison this. Now I got to check the... They send me to ESPN. Then they're like, no, it's Disney. Then I finally get the right password. Then they're like, now I got to check the email to thank goodness the power is on. We're good with our power, everything. This is one of the things, it's okay. Let me check the member passcode. Yes, it's me. Now I got to give them another password. This is more than Fort Knox over here, man. Make sure I got it right. All right, thank you. See, I went through all that only to be told it's pay-per-view. What's going on, folks? Why didn't you tell me it was pay-per-view to start with? I told you I like UFC. I don't love UFC. I'm not paying. All right, Dana White, I respect you. I appreciate the organization. As I said, dear friend, D-Tom, Derek Thompson was with UFC for a number of years. Okay? So I got all kind of love, even though it's not my cup of tea. Those folks out there karate kicking, punching, grappling. No, I can't do all that. Let's get some USL, man. Let's get some of the USL championships. But we went through all that, checked the passcodes, and now you're going to tell me if it was just said pay-per-view. Sometimes this happens. A lot of great restaurants and all that stuff on, and nice weather. So you walk down Main Street, you just see people. How's it going? You just connect with folks. It's a beautiful thing. Summertime and the living is good. But sometimes you say, especially if you're a local person, not that a cover, it's just you don't mind a cover because you're going to support the business. But it is a little off-putting if okay, it's a cover now, but it's not a cover the rest of the year, which is just basic business. You don't begrudge the businesses for charging a cover. But the local person, I mean, if it's really jumping, all right, I'll pay the cover. But I'll just keep walking, taking in some of this good weather and taking in the summer vibes. Maybe go get a scoop of ice cream over here. I'm just walking, man. I cover. I don't really need to. It ain't that serious. But that's how I feel about UFC making me jump through all those hoops, and then you tell me you just tell me it's pay-per-view. All right, no thanks, but no thanks. I'll watch some USL soccer. I'll get the reports. Shout out to UFC, Dana White, bunch of people that do, they do a great job. All right, all the way back to Greg Norman and Scotty Scheffler, folks. And a 30 for 30, which you can get on ESPN Plus, 9.79 about Ben Johnson and the 88 Olympics. It's outstanding. The arena, it's a world unto itself. And so, Greg Norman, this is just an unfortunate headlining example of that. It can happen to anybody. And it's like almost, you talk about Dan Marino, gets to the Super Bowl second year, never gets back. Supremely talented individuals, right? But you just don't know. So I'm pulling for Scotty Scheffler tomorrow. Seal the deal. Okay? USA. But that's why, and so I just love watching. I enjoy watching golf just in general, but particularly there's nothing like the last round of a championship. That's on par with any of the other sports. When it's close, right? Because that, I think that's a connecting point to everyday life. You see different things that are going on, different things that you experience relative to where you are age-wise. If you're in school, you might love school, but you're in school. People telling you what to do, and then you, at a certain point, particularly in high school, you want that independence. Okay, you break through, you get the independence. All right, but now you have the responsibility that goes along with it. Right. So that's your challenge. Challenge in your younger years, your formative years, is because you're so much energy, but to have some patience to take time for the instruction. Okay, then you get out there, college years, early career years, take on the world. You got so much energy, but you're learning how to navigate in a very, in the real world, dog eat dog world. Right? Getting to your late 20s and 30s, you kind of understand the way things are in the dog eat dog world. You kind of wishing maybe things seemed kind of a simpler time back in high school when had that structure and had those supports. When you're in that group setting, you want the independence. When you have the independence and you kind of feel sometimes, man, I'm all by my lonesome out here. Anybody care about me? Anybody think about me? Which, by the way, anybody out there listening, I don't mind telling you, as the clock strikes midnight, here on the Cape, July 20th. July 20th. Just check in with fam quickly. To the point as we go, July 20th. Extra credit if anybody can come in the chat. This is one of the things I do in class. You're not going to tell you, but if anybody's interested, who the heck does this guy think to ask us, the audience? We dictate the terms. That's true. You dictate the likes, comments, and you dictate those things. I'm not lying. But what famous event in American history occurred on July 20th? This is the history teacher in me. I can't help myself, folks. I'm sorry, I can't do it. But on the left coast, you're still July 19th, so you guys got to wait. On the East Coast, as we take in some good USL soccer, because UFC wanted to charge me a boatload of money. I mean, you have the money, but it's just, come on. And I don't necessarily have the money like that either. Wise person told me, I learned from a learned person, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. Learned person said that. Not what you make, it's what you keep. He said, that's a good point. I do love the frosted flakes and cinnamon toast crunch. Maybe I should just get the Cheerios, the store brand. Keep it moving. But the Fruity Pebbles, gotta get it. Right? We're talking about the challenges at different phases of your life. Right? You get in your 30s now and you say, independent. And you say, dang, this independence, these bills, man. Woo! I just thought I was just going to be an adult, do what I wanted, and not have these people hunting me down. Right? And you say, that structure, the high school structure is not too bad anymore. I want to go back. But you appreciate, you can do things on your own. You can finance things. You understand things, learning more and more about taxes and all the rest of this stuff. Then you get even past that, and you say to yourself, man, I understand, but I don't have the energy I once had. I saw a good, I'm about to get this for you on, since I mentioned it, I probably got to get it for you on the screen, about the different phases of your life relative to time, energy, and money. It's good. I don't know if I need to put commas. Google knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, Google, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Right? About the different phases that we go through. And there's challenges at each one. Right? You say it's a shame that youth is wasted on the young. That's true and it's not true. Young, you got time. It's just you. Got a ton of energy. You ain't got no bread. You're an adult. You got some bread. You got some money in your pocket, right? I go down the street. Like I said, I go to Fresh Catch and get me some good seafood. Shout out to Fresh Catch. My restaurant, if I want Italian, shout out to my people at Pinocchio's, my people at Pizza One, Substitute. If I need Italian, if I need some Chinese, shout out to my people at Great House, my people at Tiki Port. Great restaurants here in town. Love them, appreciate them. So I got a little money. I can do those things, leave a little bit of tip. I still got some energy. I ain't got no time. I ain't got no time in his middle age. You get older, you got time, you got money. My energy is not what it used to be. My energy is not what it used to be. Right? And so we're navigating. These challenges vis-a-vis wherever the phase of the journey that you're at. What does this have to do with sports? Okay. Scotty Scheffler, last round of the Masters, right? There's just, sealing the deal. That's something that champions do. And as we go through our go through at different phases of life, and I do it. People, we get enough. Oh man, I can't believe this. I'm working hard. This is a time for me in education where I have time that I have to make the most of. I got to hold on to these summer days. Because when I'm poking my lip out, I can't poke my lip out because I had these good summer days. These good summer days have to last me for my next 10-month journey. But when I'm poking my lip out in October, those busy days, I'm poking my lip out in December. First of all, I can't poke my lip out because I have all get 2 jobs. And I got to get 2 jobs. But it's a lot. It's, when you're scheduled, you don't, you just have to, and you have to be who you're supposed to be, right? When you take on responsibilities, you have to be that person for that role. And nobody's cutting you slack. I mean, you get a little bit of slack, but you took on a role. We expect you to have you have to be at that level, period. That you don't want to be at that level, don't take the role. Right? So when you get into the thick of things, I got to think back to these beautiful summer days where I'm fortunate to have the time and the energy and still have a little bit of money because teachers, you get your pay year round and, do my reffing, do my other things. So it's rare that you have all these 3 things in good measure. But the point is, when you're going through the thick of things and you got that champion in you, that Scotty Scheffler in you to level up. You got that Tiger in you to level up and get the chip, right? Because the championships aren't for everybody. So something, it's particularly, and it really doesn't, we can talk about social media, but it's just human nature, envy, covetousness, whatever you want to call it, keeping up with the Joneses, whatever you want to call it. You get so frustrated you don't got what the next person got. First of all, we don't think about what we have. Shout out to Swingers. Vince Vaughn, John Favreau. Yes, so we might have to get that for you on the screen now that I think about it. I might get booted out or whatever, but we might have to get that for you on the screen because that's just, you're so money and you don't even know it. Right? That's your problem. No, I brought it up. We got to get it for you on the screen. I brought it up, and we're going to get back to the concluding point. What's going on, folks? Quick check-in real quick. Yeah, man, we back now. We back. A quick little, just had to check in with family real quick. But now we got to think about we're gonna get this clip in real quick. Get the clip in real quick. Respect, shout out, because we done mentioned right.
I mean, you're telling me that your life sucks. That means my life is god awful.
Oh, my speaker. Speaking of things and forgetfulness, I did not do my intro. You believe that, folks? Not only did we have a production issue, W.N.B.A. Championship was going on. And now I'm thinking to myself, I didn't do the intro to start the show. Start the pod. Need a list. I need a list.
You know, part of the reason that I moved out here is because I saw how well you were doing, and I figured that if you could make it, then I could make it too.
I didn't make it.
You got an agent, you got in the unions. You know, that's your problem, is that you don't look at the things that you have. You only look at the stuff that you don't have. Those guys are right about you. You're money.
And why won't she call?
She won't call because you left. She's got her own life to deal with, man, and that's in New York. All right? She's a sweet girl, and I love her to pieces, but fuck.
Watch your mouth. Come back.
I mean, you're telling me that your life sucks. That means my life is god-awful. You know? Part of the reason that I moved out here is because I saw how well you were doing, and I figured that if you could make it, then I could make it too.
Yes, sir.
You got an agent, you got in the unions. You know, that's your problem, is that you don't look at the things that you have. You only look at the stuff that you don't have.
There it is.
Those guys are right about you. You're money.
Hey.
And why won't she call?
Secondary point, my friend. Shout out to John Favreau. Shout out to Swingers. Go ahead and check that out, folks. It's tough to find these movies sometime. We can't go to Blockbuster. I know we missed Blockbuster, but we can't go there. Right? We're thinking about so much what we don't have rather than what we do have. Got to get out of that way of thinking. And go ahead and check out Swingers once again. Solid film. Never mind the fact that we're about an hour and a half in. I might have to just do this just on basic principle, because we need that intro. Might have to give you the, correct me if I'm wrong, folks. If it's offensive, you know, to do an intro an hour and change into an episode. It's not necessarily an intro, it's a mid-tro. It's not an intro. It's a mid-tro. But before we move over to the next point, right? The connecting point is that's instructive for people, me in general, in the day-to-day grind, in the go-through. You know, that, you know, leveling up literally means leveling up. We're talking some David Goggins stuff now. We're talking some, you know, if you're a Masters champion, if you win a major, tennis, golf, you know, that's a whole nother. And I know we all want to have the bright, shining, happily ever after type deal, but, you know, I think what can give me, or, you know, what that's for champions. If when you become a champion, elite, then you can, all right. In the meantime, in between time, don't shortchange yourself, but keep after it. Keep after it. And then, you know, hey, well, other people's social media and IG is blowing up and it's good for them. Well, it's good for them. But I'm on my road. I'm on my journey. And I got to get it. Now, folks, even though I know 140, hour and 40 minutes in, but we missed this. So, just for the sake of consistency, welcome to SandCity Sports, to the business. Yes, I know you've been riding with me for an hour and 40 minutes. This is not necessarily an intro. This episode's having a midlife crisis. We had to get good vibes, rocking out. All right, so we got it. We got it going. All right, important. Now, again, it should have been in minute 5, not in hour 1, minute 141. Nonetheless, precedent is precedent, so had to get that going on. All right, folks, I want to segue. We'll talk a little bit NFL wise, then do the preps. And then we'll finish with slice of life. Is that how I want to do this? Let me see. NFL, okay, we're gonna get to the NFL. All right, we'll do the NFL, right? We gotta play the hits. I learned that from some folks that are established and they know their business. So we gotta play the hits, and then we will get off of the beaten path just a bit. Okay, and then we'll come back to do some other stuff. But I want to take a look at the NFL, some preview action. I know that we have, SandCity is doing what we're doing here. There's a lot of talented folks out there, and I hope that I'm maybe one of them. But I want to see. Let's get the over under for wins and losses. Let's get the over under for NFL wins and losses going into. Okay, the time says this. All right, I got Yahoo on this. Let's get the times on this. And just take a little bit of perspective. Right. Okay. So already I see something that's got my attention that we're going to have to take a look at here. Do some over under wins and losses. I want to speak on, there was an amazing, I saw a world record was broken for the mile, which leads me, I want to talk a little bit about some ultra marathons, or a particular ultra marathon, that being the Barkley Marathon, where there was a seminal achievement. But with the NFL preview, let's take a look at these over-unders. I know how I feel. And maybe you guys out there in television land on a Saturday night, nice weather, can't knock the hustle. Hope everybody is, right, is doing their thing. And making hay while the sun shines. But no. All right, and so for regular season wins, got the Atlanta Falcons in the NFC South with 7.5. I'm a Michael Penix guy. So that's why I want to start looking at why the Atlanta Falcons in. Okay, so you have the Panthers. All right. So they have, so Panthers, no. Buccaneers, yes, with Baker. But NFC South? New Orleans, transition, right? New Orleans in the transition year, bringing this quarterback, and they didn't want Shador, so they bring in the college quarterback who's pushing 30. The Falcons, man. And this is something where, shout out to Mina Kimes. They got my man Drake London. They got B. John toting the rock. They got the tight end extraordinaire. Pitts. And they're in the weaker conference. So I got to go over on this. They're playing the Panthers twice, 2 wins. They're playing New Orleans twice. That could be another. That's 4 wins right there. New Orleans is that much. Who's New Orleans quarterback? I don't. Derek Carr, didn't he retire? Let me get my facts right here. Hold on. I don't know if Derek Carr retired or not. I just know that I'm a Michael Penix. All right, so I'm putting out some. I watch my mouth. I say things. This is live. This isn't just me talking to myself as I'm on the road, which does happen on occasions. I also sing. On the road. Work on the vocals. But I'm looking at Atlanta with a quarterback who I believe in is the quarterback of the future, Mr. Penix. Weapons galore offensively. In a weaker division, they beat Tennessee. They beat the Panthers twice, New Orleans twice, and they split with Tampa Bay. That's 6 wins. What the heck is going on here? Let's take a look at the schedule. Okay. So Tampa, first game. All right. L. Minnesota, second game. L. Carolina, third game. That's a win. Washington, fourth game. L. Ooh. I can see. Okay. But still, they got a tough first 4 games with Tampa Bay, Minnesota, and Washington. But still, they get the Carolina win. Maybe they steal one from one of those other teams. Minnesota second game with a new quarterback coming in, possibly, even though Brian Flores knows his business on the defensive side of the ball. I think Washington is going to be lights out. NFC East is going to be lights out, so I can't give them that win. Then they go from Washington to Buffalo, Buffalo to San Francisco. San Francisco still, rebuilding, so that's a possible win there. Miami at home, they can get Miami. New England, W. Indianapolis, W. Carolina, again, W. New Orleans, W. Jets, W. So, unless I miss something, you got a quarterback with a bunch of weapons, a coach in there, kind of bringing in their system. You can't tell me the Falcons can't win 8 games when they have New England, Indianapolis, Carolina, New Orleans, the Jets, and Seattle. 6 straight games. What? 1, 2, New England, Indianapolis, Carolina, 3. As you can see, I'm sorry, history person. So I got to check this again. All right? You can only share one screen, so you're just looking at that, and I'm just looking at. Maybe I should, because that's not very interesting. Okay, so let me just hold on to this and say boop boop, and bring this over there. Just looking at this, the over-under numbers, maybe you find it fascinating. I don't know. But for me, I think, just being able to see, to follow along may be more beneficial to you. out there in television land. And of course, it is about the audience. If you want to pay, in W.N.B.A, I say again, it's about the audience. Feel free to, if you have a rejoiner for that, holla at your boy. But folks, I'm seeing and that's a winnable game at home against Miami, who is finding themselves as well. But I'm seeing a rebuilding New England team, a rebuilding Indianapolis team, rebuilding Carolina team, rebuilding New Orleans team. That's 4 teams where Atlanta has more firepower. Please correct me if I'm wrong, football people out there in the world. I know nightcap is going on, and we got a lot of, but I'm seeing, and Penix did his redshirt year. He did his time at Washington. He's coming in now, to me, ready to go. Is he going to make mistakes? Yes, but he's got talent. A core talent himself, and then talent around him. He doesn't have to beat on him. He just give it to Bijan and pound that rock. Okay, but you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The Jets don't know what the heck is going on. And then 6, Seattle got to find themselves. So, I'm liking the over for Atlanta. And I don't know if that is somehow shade at Penix or what. But their schedule beyond the start, the start of the schedule is rough. It's a rough start. Tampa, playoff team. Minnesota, playoff team. Washington, playoff team. Buffalo, playoff team. So 4 of the first 5 playoff and then quote-unquote Super Bowl caliber teams. 4 of the first 5. Okay. But now we get into some rebuilding. Okay, 1, rebuilding. Miami, fringe playoff team. 2, rebuilding. 3, rebuilding. 4, 5. 6, fringe playoff team. 7. Your next 7, 8 games, you got 2 rebuilding. And then 5 or 6. No, you got 2 fringe playoff teams. And then 5 or 6 rebuilding teams. Before you get back to Tampa Bay conference, interdivision rivalry. So that's going to be Arizona, fringe playoff team. Rams playoff team, and then New Orleans rebuilding. I gotta talk to my football people, but I'm bullish on ATL. I'm bullish on. All right, so it's time. Poirier's walking out to the ring. For the UFC folks that's out there that's watching, feel free to provide some further commentary if you like. But mark me down as bullish on buying on ATL. Cardinals, Kyler, and he has wide receiver extraordinaire with him, Harrison Jr. Okay, so he's got some weapons out there in the Valley of the Sun. Bills. All right, let's take a look at the Bills next. Because this right here, to me, is all I need to know. AFC gauntlet. If we're talking baseball team terms, right? You're not looking at what I'm looking at. So that's my bad here, folks. I'm looking at the. So let's move over and look at the Bills. I'm looking at the poor production. Poor. Tisk. Don't tell anybody, folks. Not that we're not live or anything, but tisk. All right. So we're looking at the schedule here. The over-under that I have is the Bills are over-under 12.5, and the Ravens over-under 11.5. So let's just stop right there. Okay? That told me all I needed to know. If the Bills have home field advantage in the playoffs, I'm going with Buffalo. If the Ravens have home field advantage, I'm going with the Ravens. It's just that simple. We know what the Chiefs did to the Ravens 2 years ago. All right? So it's not, okay, but the quarterback of the Chiefs is Patrick Mahomes, and the coach is Andy Reid, and the defensive coordinator is Steve Spagnuolo. Got a tremendous amount of respect for Harbaugh. Got a tremendous amount of respect for McDermott, particularly after he did less with more, after Stephon Diggs, shimmied his way out of town and left a good situation for another situation, which is really good. Then he shimmied his way out of that situation to be here with us in New England, and then we don't know what we're going to get. Okay, so less is more if we're talking about everyone being bought in and grinding together and pulling together, rather than everyone but this talented diva doing the things that are consistent with winning. Okay, talent-wise, I don't think it's Ravens are more talented. Football people correct me. I didn't see the Bills having a Derrick Henry in their backfield. Okay, I think the Ravens have been the most talented team, frankly, the last couple years. But they haven't been the most consistent during the regular season. And yes, the AFC is an absolute juggernaut. It's a juggernaut. But before we go any further, whichever of these three teams, because Kansas City is certainly in the mix as the defending AFC champions, I feel like it comes down to home field advantage. Now, what am I saying? Am I saying I don't trust Lamar Jackson on the road? Am I saying I trust Josh Allen more in Baltimore than I do trust Lamar in Buffalo? That's what I'm saying. But if the game is to be played in Baltimore, and if the AFC Championship game, right? So the other thing that has to be said, and this is the same thing that I was hollering, shout out to Hollering James, Malin Militia. This is the other thing that I was hollering during the NBA regular season about my New York Knicks, which they achieved. Well, they didn't achieve it. They didn't achieve it because they didn't get the number one seed. They didn't achieve it. So they had to go toe-to-toe with the Celtics in the second round. Now, we've it's forgotten because they got that victory, which is hurtful, right? It was going to be hurtful either way. It was going to be hurtful for my next loss. It was going to be hurtful if my next one, and the Celtics went out with a dynastic team. So it was hurtful. But I was, then that number one seed, get the number one seed, avoid having to punch yourselves out. Now, it turns out Cleveland punched themselves out. They didn't even make it to the I was fearing Cleveland. They punched themselves out, and Indiana, ran the gamut. But vis-a-vis the AFC, not only is it important to have the home field, it's important to have the home field throughout. But not just the home field throughout, but to avoid the divisional battle. Okay? Right? The 2-3 divisional war. So if I'm Kansas City, then I'm playing, whoever else, whatever, whoever, whether it be whoever gets that 4 seed, whichever AFC team, and we can take a look, because that's an interesting question. Which AFC team is going to be the 4th seed? If it's a foregone conclusion, that's going to be Baltimore, Buffalo, and Kansas City. But, okay, so they're playing 17. Where are their possible losses? All right, let's just say they lose to Baltimore. So that's 1. Okay, no threats after that. Jets, absolutely not. Miami, no. New Orleans, rebuilding. Right? These are all teams that are trying to find themselves. After you have to go against the Super Bowl contending champion, you got 4 straight teams trying to find themselves. Make it 5 with the Carolina Panthers. 5 straight teams trying to find themselves. And then you have the must-win game against Kansas City. So you have a must-win game in game 1 against Baltimore. Again, for just to get the win and for the head-to-head. And then you got a must-win game in game 9, your 8th game against Kansas City for the head-to-head and to get that win. So that's 2 possible losses, Baltimore, Kansas City. Okay, favorite against Miami. They're just the favorite. Favorite against Miami, Tampa, Houston. Now, this is where you're getting into some tough territory here. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. AFC North teams are going to be tough. Right? Houston, as well. Even though Houston, what are you doing without Diggs? But so now you got 3 conference opponents that you have to, and that are going to be tough. Pittsburgh, tough. Cincy, tough. Pittsburgh, more balanced. Aaron Rodgers can make some magic of the offense. He has a stalwart defense. He can win some games. Cincinnati, Joe Burrow, it's just Joe Burrow against the world. And if I'm Buffalo, I'm just grinding these guys to a pulp. As good as Joe Burrow might be, he's not getting on the field because I'm just grinding these guys. Long drives, just running them over if I'm Cincinnati with their all-offense approach. Okay, you can't run over the Steelers. You can't do that. So I feel like the Steelers are more threatening than Cincinnati because they're more balanced. It's me. Okay, but then all these are just chalk. This is all just preparation for the playoffs. Buffalo finishes the year with beatdowns. Okay, Cleveland, stalwart defense. What are they doing on offense? Okay, will Shador be the quarterback at this particular point in time? Oh, did I say I didn't see the Eagles? I'm sorry. I didn't see the Eagles creeping. My bad. All right. So you have Eagles. That's 1. Houston, Pittsburgh, Cincy. Let's say they go 2-1, giving them the benefit of the doubt. That's 2 losses. And the Ravens are 3. Okay? So that's 14 wins. Or 14 games, to my mind, where they're favored. Right? There's really no. I missed one. Excuse me. Guy can't count. What's wrong with him? See why he teaches history. Can't count. Basics. They're not favored against the Eagles. 1. Maybe they drop one of these. Or, this 4-game stretch. 2. Kansas City. 3. Baltimore. 4. So 3 games where it's even money or they're not the favorites. Eagles, KC, and B more. And then how they navigate playing against 4 straight playoff grade teams. Tampa's making the playoffs. Houston's making it there because based on their division. And really, Pittsburgh and Cincinnati would make it in other years if their conference wasn't so strong. But one of them's not going to make it. But these are, 4 straight playoff teams in a row. So that's 13, right? That's your 13 wins. So I have the Bills over. And it just coming down to the head-to-head. Let's take a look at B more. who is, they're at 12.5. Take a look at B more. All right, so Buffalo, that's one game, even money. Kansas City early, another game, even money, where they're not the favorites. You might throw Detroit in there. Even money. See, I can understand why you would put the Ravens at 12.5 and the Bills at Ravens at 11.5 and the Steelers, the Bills at 12.5. As I get back to thinking straight here and not stuttering away. Not that there's anything wrong with stuttering. Check out The King's Speech. It's a good film about a speech impediment. Because the Ravens play in a much fiercer division, right? Bills are the class of their division. Maybe Miami gives them a little bit of go. It's not. That's a big, and then Miami's not going to win at Buffalo. Buffalo might have some trouble in Miami, but the Patriots and the Jets are pushovers. All right, and games that you can't, they're both rebuilding teams. So whereas the Ravens, there's just no love lost. Even the Browns not having a quarterback, their defense is out of this world. The Steelers have tremendous balance defensively and offensively, and the Bengals, while not having much of a defense, have an MVP candidate at quarterback. So I can see it there. Nonetheless, there's still no sympathy for the Ravens in terms of home field advantage and how that factors into their Super Bowl aspirations. So, all right, let's take a look. Buffalo, not okay, even. Detroit, even though they lost their offensive coordinator, we'll see how they come out. That's another game where you can say that they're even, 2. Kansas City, 3. Okay, Rams, playoff great team. Ravens are better. Chicago, upstate, better. Miami, weapons, better. Minnesota, some weapons, better. Cleveland, divisional, better. Jets, we already know. Cincy, the Ravens are better than Cincinnati. But it's a tough division. See, this stretch right here of Cincy, Pittsburgh, Cincy. So one of those games is going to be dropped, I feel like. Okay, New England, better. Green Bay, coming up to the world, but better. And another game against Pittsburgh, a knockdown, drag out game where you're the better team. Right? So, had the Bills at 13 wins. If they're even money against Kansas City, if they're even money against Baltimore, if they're even money against the Eagles, and then possibly one loss against the 4 straight playoff teams, that's 13. So 4 losses that I'm seeing for the Bills. Let's take a look here. So this is 1 dicey game, 2 with Detroit, 3 with Kansas City. So 3, and those 3 are all in their first 4 games. So this is a wow. To start the season, there's just no love for the Ravens. Then you go to Houston, and I mean, they got what? They're playing beyond Cleveland, who's talented defensively. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5 of their first 6 teams are playoff teams. And then you have a divisional knockdown drag out. Then you got 2 upstart teams in the Bears and Miami, and another playoff grade team with Minnesota. Ravens' schedule is looking much more daunting. But just in terms of favorites, even against Buffalo, even against Detroit, even against KC, just a tough start to the season. They're going to be the favorites, but not too many cupcakes in here. Houston battle, Rams battle, Bears battle, Miami battle, Minnesota battle, Cleveland battle. You don't get another break until you play the Jets. So 3 of the first 4 are against Super Bowl contending teams. And then you go, including the bye week, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight weeks playing upstart teams before you get a break. So that might be your 4 losses right there. That might be 4 losses just in terms of the strength of schedule to start the season with playoff level intensity, certainly against Buffalo and Kansas City, if not Detroit as well. Then 6 straight games against playoff level teams. You get a break against the Jets. So this could already be 4 losses, as I've said. Then 3 straight divisional weeks. Cincy, Pittsburgh, Cincy again. I'm seeing a 5th loss in that. 3 straight. New England, okay. Green Bay, upstart team. They're still the favorites. And then another battle against Pittsburgh. So the Ravens, more talented, but their path is frankly treacherous. Let's look at it the other way. How many cupcakes do they have? They got New England, 1. Jets, 2. I'm not saying Cleveland's a cupcake because their defense, it's a divisional game and their defense is lights out. So essentially 2 of the 17 games for the Ravens are, are highly favorable. 2 of the 17. Yikes. So again, back to Buffalo, who gets 2 games against the Patriots and 2 games against the Jets. So Buffalo, schedule-wise, is in pole position because the Chiefs and the Ravens, their divisions are just, there's just nothing but smoke. Right? Chiefs, same thing here. Los Angeles playoff team, Philly Super Bowl champion, Giants, UK rebuilding, Buffalo, the Baltimore, let me get some names right here. So 2 of Kansas City's first 4 games are against Super Bowl caliber teams. Then you have a very well-coached playoff team, and then the upstart team. In the Giants, upstart. Jacksonville, talented, but an upstart team. Detroit, Super Bowl grade. Vegas, rebuilding. Washington, Buffalo, Super Bowl grade. Denver, divisional battle. Colts, rebuilding. Dallas, playoff team. Houston, playoff team. Rams, playoff team. Tennessee, rebuilding. Denver, divisional battle. Vegas, upstart divisional battle. So the Chiefs not as lights out as the Ravens. You could say the Giants, highly favored. Throwing Jacksonville too. Well, no disrespect to Trevor Lawrence, but highly favored for the Chiefs. Vegas, highly favored, 3. Indianapolis, 4. Overwhelming favorites. Tennessee, 5. Vegas, 6. It's a tough road for Baltimore. And Kansas City, even though they're defending conference champions, their road, are they? Let me take a look here. Their division, 2 games against the Chargers, 2 games against the Broncos are tough, but they got the 2 games against Vegas, So those 2 games against Vegas, I'm sorry, no, and Pete Carroll's first year. So there's some games where Kansas City can, now you don't take anything for granted, but where they're the decided favorites. And I count 5 of them. 2 with Vegas, the Giants, the Colts, and the Titans. It's tough. It's tough for Baltimore. Okay. But it is what it is. So to me, on the face of it, it's between Buffalo and Kansas City for the number 1 seed. I'm going to lean Buffalo's way. I'm going to lean Buffalo's way. Let's see what the experts have it at. Because they got the Bills at 12.5. I passed by it, as I'm known to do. Get myself lost all the time. Patriots are at 8.5 wins. Under 8.5. Take a look at the Patriots schedule. Right? Okay, so the Chiefs are at 11.5. Got the Chiefs at 11.5. Okay. I actually put them over that just because they got 5 teams of their 12. Well, they got 5. You can't necessarily say. Okay, I didn't know they got 5 games where they're the decided favorite, which means they got 12 games which are dogfights. So, all right, let's conclude on the football side with New England, because that 8.5 seems high to me. 8.5 seems high. Okay, let's see if I find them the favorites in. Okay, Vegas, I'll put that at even. Even. So that's one game where they're even. Underdog against Miami, underdog against Pittsburgh, favorite against Carolina. So that's 2. Let's say Vegas, Carolina. Underdog against Buffalo, New Orleans, even. Tennessee. Okay. So let's say Vegas, all right. Carolina, 2. New Orleans, Tennessee, 3-4. Cleveland, underdog. Atlanta, underdog. Tampa, underdog. So the Jets are 5. Underdog. Giants, even. Put them at 6. Buffalo, Baltimore, no. New York, yes, that's 7. Miami, no. So he's got them at 8.5. Let's just see. Miami, no. 1, 2. Pittsburgh, nope. Buffalo, nope. It's 3. Cleveland, it's close, but no. Defense is too good. 4. Atlanta, no. 5. Tampa, no. 6. Cincinnati, no. 7. Buffalo, no. 8. Baltimore, 9. And Miami, which needs every win, 10. So that's 10 games for me that I don't see the Patriots winning. It means the max that they can win is 7. Okay, so let me just look at it. Maybe. Okay, not beating Miami. Because again, in the AFC, teams are not taking anything for granted. A number of good teams in the AFC are not making the dance. So they're not going to sneak up on Miami. Loss. They're not sneaking up on Pittsburgh. Loss. Obviously not sneaking up on Buffalo. Loss. That's 3. Cleveland, just from the sake of pride. I can't be the Cleveland Browns and getting beat down by the Ravens, Bengals, and Steelers on a weekly basis in this division, then give up a win to the Patriots. No. That's a loss. Atlanta, far too talented. That's me. Push back if you want. Penix, Pitts, London, Bijan. They're just far too talented. And it's in the ATL. Stop it. No, it's at home. It's at home. Okay, so it's at home. All right, maybe Patriots can pull some things together. At Tampa Bay, no. On the road in Cincy, no. Giants at home, possibly. At Buffalo, no. Ravens, no. Jets, maybe. Dolphins, no. So, let me tell you, folks, hate to be a downer for the hometown team, but that over-under for the Patriots at 8.5. That under is looking delicious. That under is looking really good. And you can say, don't believe in. All right. Respect Vrabel. Think he's going to do a good job. I was a Gerard Mayo guy. Didn't think he got a fair shake, frankly. Not that he should have won the last game when that game should have been lost, but to only have 1 year and the things for things to have become nuclear like they did, I didn't like any of it at all. Not even one bit. And believe Mayo deserves another opportunity as a defensive coordinator, leading up to being another head coach. That said, Mike, I had confidence in Gerard Mayo. Got a little bit more confidence in Mike Vrabel because he's done it before. All right, he's done it before, and so, all right. But to come in and win 9 games in the AFC? Some folks know some things that I don't know. All right. And again, coming from the basketball tradition, that's just me. But I just pointed out 10 teams that cannot afford under any circumstances to lose to the Patriots. 10 teams that are going to go all out to get that Patriots win, not take them light for one instance. And then there's some other teams, whereas, I don't know if the Patriots, are they decidedly better talent-wise than the Jets? Jets just secured, Jets have a lights-out defense and some weapons on offense. All right? A mystery at quarterback, but the Jets have, Saleh, who should still be there, built that team up. So those aren't 2 guaranteed wins against the Jetropolitans. It's not a guaranteed victory against the Giants. I don't see any guaranteed victories for the Patriots in general. I just think there's some teams that they are as good at as, that they could, out-scheme, out-maneuver. So, long story not so long, look at the NFL. I have the Bills pole position for the highly valued, vaunted number 1 overall seed, home field advantage. Ravens are just, again, while they may be the most talented, their schedule is the most challenging, most difficult. So they're going to just take some lumps and some losses, and going to have to go on the road in the playoffs and get it done in a hostile environment. It's just going to have to happen. Lamar, Derrick Henry, you're more than capable. And the clock's ticking. 4 falls of Buffalo. It's just not getting any easier, right? 4 falls of Buffalo. The first Super Bowl, when it was the kick, Scott Norwood, that was the easiest Super Bowl. The rest of them were just gauntlets. Playing against the Redskins when they had it going on, and 2 times against, a juggernaut of a Cowboys team. Next thing you know, the window's closed. So I see the Ravens in a similar situation. Just keeps getting harder for them. And they're just going to have to find a way to be the best team in football and to just get out of their conference, which in my mind is going to involve going on the road to Arrowhead in the divisional round and then going on the road to Buffalo to the Frozen North. It can be done. Joe Burrow did it. Went to the Frozen North in a snow game and lit them up. Before lighting up Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. It can be done. But Baltimore, it is a decidedly uphill climb. Hope everybody's doing well out there. SandCity Sports, we're still going. Looks like it's going to be a We'll see what it is, frankly. I don't know what it's going to be. I can't speculate. But I do want, as we go to the NFL, I want to talk about something two things that in sports kind of caught my attention. Let me see if this one thing is still up here. Because we had some breakthroughs vis-a-vis the endurance sports. A couple breakthroughs vis-a-vis the endurance sports. That I want to touch on. Again, I hope everybody's doing well out there. SandCity Sports Saturday edition. Your boy, the Cape Cod Kid. The intro was a mid-tro. Got the intro and mid-tro. But shout out to Sinclair Johnson, breaking the American record in the women's mile for our distance runners. Another picture. No. Okay. Four minutes, 16.32 seconds for first outdoor mile in 4 years. So, respect, salute. We have some time before the Olympics, which is when we can really celebrate, track and field and the distance runners. Being in the Commonwealth Boston Marathon every year, greatest runners in the world descend. It's also Boston Marathon is notable time in the field of education because that's like the first Monday of April vacation, which is a big milestone in the school year. If you trudge through the long month of March and through those winter. So marathon, it's not just Patriots Day. It's not just Marathon Monday. It's a big day in education circles. So shout out to Sinclair Lewis, but thinking, I just wanted to, because this kind of got me. There was a notable achievement for endurance. Yeah. So there's a notable achievement that I also want to discuss. And before we do that, again, we don't player hate. We congratulate around here, SandCity Sports. Well, first of all, I wasn't aware, and I'm glad I looked this up, because this is an awesome film in and of itself. But I'm just finding where I can find this film, which I've been looking for, which was a Netflix. Shout out to the Netflix algorithm that recommended this going on. It was in 2016. So to begin with, folks, I know there's a bunch of you out there saying, what the heck? And by the way, you can find this, I don't mind saying, on YouTube, Netflix, or wherever else you get your streaming. I don't know if it's on Netflix. It's not a Netflix original, but it was a film that I found on Netflix. But first of all, what the heck are the Barkley Marathons? Let's get into it.
First rule of Barkley is don't talk about it. If you talk about it, then you're not going to be part of it.
Somebody may have said something, oh, you think that's hard. You should look at this race they have down in Tennessee.
Barkley's at their own edge of possibility, impossibility.
If you're going to face a real challenge, it has to be a real challenge. You can't accomplish anything without the possibility of failure. It was big news. He was a famous bad guy, and he got out of this inescapable prison.
The Bushy Mountains.
Most people would be better off with more pain in their lives.
The primary villain is the course.
And for some people, just to get back to camp alive is all they want in the world.
All right, folks. So that is, and go ahead. By the way, I say it again. Check out the Barkley Marathons if you haven't. Catch it on YouTube or wherever you get your streaming services. You won't be disappointed. It's a really done documentary, but it's the elite of the elite. You know, it's an ultra marathon that ultra marathoners have have a good amount of trepidation for. And it takes place in the Bushy Mountains of Tennessee. As I said, I became familiar with it because Netflix is awesome, and they recommended it, and I watched it, and I never forgot it. This is 2016, so it's almost a decade ago. But I bring this up because I was going through the feed the other day, and I saw this. First of all, to the victor goes the spoils. Right? There sits a champion. Can read the small print. Finished the Barkley Marathon with 1 minute and 39 seconds to spare. So the reason this is headlining news, New York Times caught wind. I'm glad they did and blasted it out so the world could be made aware. Is because Jasmine Paris is the first woman to ever finish the Barkley Marathon, which for many years, I'm not going to, right? So it was some time. Go ahead and check out the doc, folks. You won't be disappointed. Speaking of which, we're getting into the summer. There's just so much great stuff going on. We're getting into festival season. Glad that it came to my mind. Woods Hole Film Festival is coming up. Martha's Vineyard Film Festival is coming up. So I got to step my game up and get prepared and organized for those two festivals, where you're able to learn about these tremendous things that are taking place. And you heard the snippet from one of the runners talking about most people would be better off with more pain. That's talking about like the endurance pain, the pain of working out, exercising, not pain just from a, no reason, and harming yourself and lashing yourself for no good reason. No. Talking about, these individuals, David Goggins' crowd, this rare group of individuals that's locked into these ultra marathons. And first of all, how in the world do they do it? And second of all, how it enriches every facet of their life. Right? And can do that. So I think, when he's talking about people can use more pain, that was the lens that he was speaking of it, that, right? So many things, different varieties that impact us, bother us. These endurance athletes, they found another space beyond, in my view, the humdrum of real life problems, which is one category. It's unavoidable, and we should be empathetic to real life problems. And then there's modern day distractions and delusions, which is another category that weighs us down, most definitely. Okay. And these endurance runners, they find a space that transcends both of those. Real problems, real and imagined. That's what he was alluding to. Or at least that's how I saw it. Me being more stagnant than I've ever been in my life. It sounds, but I say that as somebody who has lost a step or three by not putting that pain into my day-to-day life with running and with exercise. There's a lot of running that goes on here, right? Too much, frankly. Running goes on here. Not enough running goes on in terms of me just moving my body. Not nearly enough. And so this is something, and I'm proud to reference it and mention it, because it's a big something, frankly. Within, right? It's, again, if you're a Goggins fan, I'm a Goggins fan. I'm a little bit through, not the paperback book, which I need to do. I'm a little bit through his Audible book. I haven't gotten into when he becomes a SEAL, and then this elite endurance athlete, and then this motivational speaker, world renowned. I'm more in his formative years where he's talking about the rough stuff that he had to endure. But a lot of people know, respect, appreciate David Goggins really because of his second act. His first act is serving the country as a Navy SEAL with honor and distinction. And then after that, he became this legendary endurance athlete, running all these ultra marathons. And the Barkley, as I said, for that group of people, the Barkley raises the hair, on the forearms and backs of that crowd. That elite group says, ooh, which is wild, from the standpoint, I'll speak just like an ultra, like it's 5 marathons consecutively, just to put that out there. So never mind one marathon, an ultra marathon or the Barkley Marathon is 5 marathons in the bushy mountains of Tennessee. So understanding that, you can see why it took years for anybody to finish at all. Took some years. So I'll leave it at that. Store that away for later. I'm more than happy to talk more without giving any spoilers about the Barkley Marathon, but a deserved Okay, so this is, it wouldn't be. Okay, so the Barkley is not 5, it's 100 miles. So each loop is 20 miles rather than 26.2. So the point of order there, or point of information, 20 miles rather than 26.2, but, you know, you're running in the mountains. You're not running, you know, flat surface. Yeah, it's just remarkable. And I think it's in line, right? Scotty Scheffler going in, right? These endurance, you know. What is up, Chris? Thanks for checking in, man. First things first, you got family in town. I'm going to effort to get back tomorrow. I'm going to effort to get back now that you bring it up, you know, get some things in order. But thanks, I appreciate the check-in. First things first, you got to be with your family, man. That's good. It's good. You got to, but yeah, I will effort to get back in here tomorrow and just keep it moving and grooving. But I certainly appreciate the check-in. Chris, it's coming towards the tail end, just discussing the Barkley Marathons, which I would encourage. Once again, I'll say that the last time in conclusion, check out the Barkley Marathons. Catch it on YouTube or wherever it is that you get your streaming services. Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate the check-in, amigo. All right, let's move. We've been moving and grooving. I hope your Wednesday has been good. Right? We don't play hey, we congratulate around here. Hope your days overall are good, you know, and you're finding the purpose and the positivity. All right. So I want to start off with what's going on. Let's move over to the world of basketball. Okay? And I want to talk about the championships. So let's go over to what's happening right now in terms of EYBL, folks. The EYBL, which stands for Elite Youth Basketball League. And this is the stars of tomorrow on the Nike circuit. There's 3 circuits. The preponderance of talent is on the Nike circuit, but there's talent all across the board. We're going to get to all the talent that's out there. Well, let's take a look at this sophomore, AJ Williams, who's balling out. AJ balling out. sir. Not to be denied. Coach Hurley would be happy. Coach Hurley says, I need to hear sneaker marks. I need to hear sneaker marks. We'll let this cook before we get the next highlight coming up. We're going to let AJ cook. As we get the next highlight coming to you, it's going to be a second. Let me... Okay, we're going to move on. Shout out to AJ. Let me get the next one up. This is just more talking about, okay, we're going to have to come back to Peach Jam because I most certainly had another clip with, no, that's not it. I should know. So we got some things just relative. All right, so that was the Nike. They're in South Carolina for Peach Jam. This is local. This is our local team here in Massachusetts. I'm glad to see it. Middlesex Magic, who have won this tournament. So they're advancing to the Final Four now. I want to see the results tomorrow and the next day. Ryan Mosh. Taste. That guy's coming off the bench. So I like what I'm seeing. Hey. As I go ahead and get the next. So that was Middlesex Magic. This is Pat Connaughton, who you know. Tyler Kolek, who you also know. These are Middlesex Magic alums. That are shining bright right now during the live period. You know, and I'm gonna get. I gotta push up a little bit, but there was a mega. You know, top players, both Tynan Stokes and Jason Crow, who Chris talks. You know, smart to the Lakers. Yes, we talked about that a little bit earlier. Talked about that a bit earlier. But this is when the rankings, ESPN, McDonald's, this is when those things happen. And players are established and then players blow up. This young man, Con Kneppel, number 4 overall pick, was not at the top of his class. He balled out at Peach Jam. Okay? And that's what set him a sail on to Duke, on to the NBA. So certain things are established, and then certain things, okay, are earned. This is the BABC crew, the young guys. This is here at Dana Barrows. Dana Barrows has a great facility in Stoughton. These young guys are playing up. And they're making it happen.
Right.
Okay, that's BABC's U17 team is highly ranked nationally. They're over on the Adidas circuit. Try to get some clips to see how they're doing. But that's the younger guys, AJ Wilson, younger guys playing up at U17, where I mean, some of the younger players will do that. Only reason I make mention of that is two notable prospects who decided not to play up as they were coming up through the ranks. One that you know, another that you will know, are Cooper Flagg and Cameron Boozer. They did not play up, even though Cooper Flagg went on to gray shirt. And so that's why he's the youngest rookie at 18, so on and forth, because he gray shirted. Right? He was a junior, and then they pulled some lightning in a bottle, some magic out of a hat, and now he's a senior. But Cooper never played U17. He didn't compete for that. He competed for the U16 championship. He did not compete for the U17 chip. All right, I'm having trouble. I clip things and I forget where I clipped them, and then maybe time, but I have to get this. No. Yes, sir. Okay, so this is what I was referring to. Let's get it up. Get the volume.
All I ever wanted was a black grand national. Fuck being rational. Give them what they asked for.
Hey!
It's not enough.
What?
Few solid niggas left, but it's not enough. Few bitches that are really stepped, but it's not enough. Say you bigger than myself, but it's not enough. I get on their ass. Yeah, somebody gotta do it. I make them niggas mad. Yeah, somebody gotta do it. I take the G-Pad. Yeah,
hey!
Watch a nigga do it. We survived outside, all from the music, nigga. What? They like, what he on? This the Alpha and Omega, bitch. Welcome home.
So this is Tynan Stokes, number one.
This is not a song. This is a revelation.
Casey Crow's with him. You'll see him. I need one more time.
All I ever wanted was a black grand national. Fuck being rational.
Hey,
give them what they asked for.
Family friendly. Hold
it's
up.
Not enough.
Hey,
few solid niggas left, but it's not enough. Few
jam right now.
Really stepped, but it's not enough.
Team take
Say you bigger than myself, but it's not enough. I get on their ass. Yeah, somebody gotta do it. I make them niggas mad. Yeah, somebody gotta do it. I take the G-Pad. Yeah, watch a nigga do it. We survived outside, all
There's
from the music,
number
nigga.
5 setting up brush screen.
They like, what he on? This the Alpha and Omega, bitch. Welcome home.
So he's number
this
one.
This is not a song. This is a revelation.
You gotta show me. That means you gotta show me. You understand? Hold up. No. Oh, the King. The dream sharing his secrets. I can get down with that. Right? All right. We in the show me state now. Don't tell me, show me. I need to see it. And I'm glad to see Tynan balling out. I want to see Expressions Elite do their thing and break through. Hopefully to the championship. I can dig it. I can dig it. A Soldiers Expressions championship. Crow interested in Missouri? Okay. Hey, grow where you're planted. I'm not mad at it. But, you know, we talk about Scotty Scheffler. We talk about pressure. Okay? And shining when the bright lights are on. All right? You know, this used to be me, because you can tell I talk, folks. I'm going to talk to you. You can tell I talk. But I spent so much time in my development years talking about, this player, it's because their parents are coach. I spent so much time talking about what everybody else is doing rather than get my behind in the gym and just grinding. Stop making excuses. Okay, so I say it now, but I was the, motor mouth then, rather than just get in the gym and grind and just keep getting better to the point where they have to play you. Speaking of which.
Attacking every rep with intensity and focus. This comes down to go watch Damian Lillard's workouts when he was coming into the league. Unreal. I've never seen anything like it. The man is exhausted. The man has 0 legs left, but you can't tell. You cannot tell. Continuously makes shots while he's tired. And we are witnessing the product of just hard-ass work. Fuck a resume, fuck accolades and all these stats and situations. I mean, these championships and trophy counts. We are looking at it from an eye test standpoint, from the ability standpoint. When you look at the rest of the league, attacking every rep with intensity and focus.
It's a profanity, but we easy on the profanity. Family friendly.
Go watch Damian Lillard's workouts when he was coming into the league. Unreal. I've never seen anything like it. The man is exhausted. The man has 0 legs left, but you can't tell. You cannot tell. Continuously makes shots while he's tired. And we are witnessing the product of just hard-ass work. Fuck a resume, fuck accolades and all these stats and situations. I mean, these championships and trophy counts. We are looking at it from an eye test standpoint, from the ability standpoint. When you look at the rest of the league, attacking every rep with intensity and focus.
Every rep with intensity and focus. There it is. Every rep with intensity and focus. Negative. Okay, let's come back. 1 or 2 more. Let's stay with the grind. It's only appropriate. Shout out to the preps right now. I'm pulling for Expressions Elite. Expressions Elite on the EYBL circuit. Let's make it clear. Boston. Okay, we need Expressions to break through on the EYBL. I want to see him on NBA TV. Yes, sir. I need to see Middlesex Magic come back and get the Under Armour championship. Middlesex Magic, Pride of Boston on the Under Armour circuit. BABC. Leo Papil still in the game. This is the best team he's had in years. They're out there balling. Just strong arming teams. Good, this is beautiful to see. The clip that we saw was their young guys. Their young guys played up just to get the reps. Hey, you a young freshman, you're gonna play the seniors. Let's go. Come get it. Come get it. Doesn't have to always be that way, but I like, those matchups to give the young folks the perspective, right? Because that's another thing when you're a freshman and you're good and people that's a whole other challenge because you have so much longer to go. You got to stay hungry. You got to stay hungry with it. All right, so we want BABC to break through and get that championship on the Adidas circuit. Let's go Massachusetts. Go ahead and get the trifecta. Speaking of the process and the journey, go ahead.
Basketball was my dream, my passion, and as a 5'10" white kid, I was like, how am I going to stick out? How am I going to play basket? So my thing was shooting. Like, I just focused on shooting. I wasn't the fastest, I wasn't the strongest. 5th grade, hundreds, thousands of shots a week. Like, only shooting. My dream was to play in a packed Bosco Bergen crowd, wearing those maroon and white striped pants. I had a bunch of games where I had like 5, 6 threes. So I had a good breakout year, junior year. And didn't start. My goal was just start, be a starting guard. In the summer, we had this freshman coming in. He was 5'11", 6 feet. He was really good. I was like, okay, he's good. He's not going to take my spot, not my starting spot. He was a freshman. I was a senior. So 3 or 4 games in, I was that starting guard. I had a really good 3 or 4 games. 5th game comes around. I don't do well. And the next game, coach comes to me, hey, I'm going to start this freshman. I came off the bench the rest of the season. Still played a lot. Still had a good role, but just didn't have that starting spot. If I lost my starting spot to someone, it was going to be someone who was really, really good. And that freshman was Dylan Harper. What I learned in that time was just be a good teammate, right? Just cheer the freshman on, cheer everyone else on. If I was a senior, bad attitude, that would leak energy into everyone else. So you never know who's coming behind you, right? You never know. I got a little complacent. I was like, I'm a senior, no one's taking my spot. But Dylan Harper comes in. Complacency, I don't care if you're a 4 or 5 star, you could have a freshman 5-star come in next year. He's a stud. So don't get complacent. Someone's always coming for your spot. And if you do lose that spot, just have a good attitude. You'll still have a chance to do your thing. Basketball is my dream, my passion. And as a 5'10" white kid,
Strong. So, said a lot. You can't ever become, most certainly, you can't ever become complacent. That's powerful. That kid happened to be Dylan Harper, who's about to bring prosperity back to San Antonio. We're going to conclude with
the next chapter of the story. It's the beginning of the end. The road,
there's
narrow.
expressions.
The destination is in arm's reach. But look, man, you got to be special to make it this far. This is the elite of the elite, the masters of the game. Talented Team Durant.
That's the number 1 sophomore.
The electric expression. C.B.A. After the legend himself, Team N.F.L. New York, the New York Rant. BBE, the Rave Elite. West Coastin, Team Why Not. What you do here in this moment will define the trajectory of your future. One of these teams will be crowned Peach Jam champion. Legend himself, 9th Wonder, Augusta, Georgia, Peach Jam. Stay tuned.
Check it out, folks. It's good stuff, but then it also reflects, right, the journey, right? The journey that we have to be on to meaning youth sports is tough because everybody is bigging you up. But then you get into those environments, where iron sharpens iron. And, those are, again, talking about these high leverage times for players to prepare them for NCAA tournament, so on and forth. Peach Jam will do it. Peach Jam will do it for you. Right, let me see here. Make sure we cross the T's and dot the I's. Yeah, we're going to stop there. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, folks.